Hi, it's Dr. Tom. Okay, you've done your smell test now. What does it mean? What's the significance? And then what do you do about it? So I'm going to tell you some things that, might kind of rock your boat a little bit. That's okay, as long as we know what to do about it. And why is it important to do a smell test? Last time in the last video, I gave you the example of my family back in 1986 when our Chrysler minivan, the temperature gauge was climbing up. And because I saw the problem that was developing, I was able to take appropriate action so the engine didn't blow up and we didn't have to pull over to the side of the road and you're not diagnosed with a disease. I mean, we're looking to identify a mechanism that's going on before you're diagnosed with a disease so that we can nip it in the bud. That's why we're doing this. And, it was back in the 10 years ago, doctors used to argue about whether or not you should do tests to identify the genes that people may have for Alzheimer's. A lot of doctors said it's unethical to do the test because people can't do anything about it. They're just going to worry for the rest of their lives. Well, we know that's not true anymore. There's a lot that you can do. Technology's improved. Just look at our friend Dr. Dale Bredesen and all the doctors around the world that are studying his protocols and getting great results with mild and moderate cognitive decline, meaning people are reversing and their brains are working great again. So it's all possible. But you don't take the time to learn about this stuff unless you know that your temperature gauge is climbing. So the smell test is one of the ways that you can dial that down. And in the last video, I gave you also an article. And I'm going to bring that article up in a minute. But before I do that, let's just talk about what the score means on the smell test. If you have 9 or less correct answers, 9 or less, it means that you have hyposmia, great Scrabble word that means a loss of smell. And so if you've got 10 correct, don't worry about it, you're fine. You got a couple of them that are off, but you're fine, right? And so you may want to put attention on this and you may not. I think everyone should, but in this case, it's when you have 9 or less correct answers, you need to put some attention on this. Okay, that article that I gave you last time, I'm going to share my screen here. And, I'm not great on technology, so it's going to take me a minute. But I'm going to share the screen. So we should be sharing the screen now. Let's see if we can move this stuff on the corner out of the way so that you can see this one. So this is the article that I gave you last time. Oh, this is in the way. How do I get this out of the way? Come on, get out of the way here. I don't know how to do that. So let me see. No, it's terrible that I get caught with all this geeky stuff. So you're just going to have to, almost. Oh, there it was. So we can get that one out of the way and can we get this one out of the way? Let's move it down. There we go. Now we can get out of the way. Great. Okay. So we've got this article, from a Scientific American, and I hope you've had a chance to read it. There's just a couple things I want to point out about this article. That impaired smell is one of the earliest and most common symptoms of both Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. So if you have an impaired sense of smell, it doesn't mean you're going to get the disease, but it means your temperature gauge is climbing. And so we want to stop that temperature gauge from climbing, and that's what you're going to learn here. That's what you're going to learn, but you need to understand the problem first, right? And so a loss of smell, neurotransmitter dysfunction, which happens when you get these brain deterioration diseases, is a possible cause of smell loss in a number of diseases. So I think that's important to know that there are a number of different brain dysfunctions that may occur. And impaired smell is even stronger than memory problems as a predictor of cognitive decline in currently healthy adults. So it's a really strong indicator. You got a problem here. And amongst most Parkinson's patients, loss of smell occurs more than the most common type of tremor. So this is a commonly associated concern for people. So I'm going to drop out of here because you've read this one already. And I want to show you another one. I'm going to give you these studies today also. So here's one called Olfaction, a Window to the Mind. And what I like about this one is on page 2 here, you see this quote. It says, Proust's description of dipping a cake into his tea and being completely transported by its aroma back to his childhood is one of the most frequently cited passages in all of literature. It's called Proust phenomena. A slightest hint of a perfume can transform the present into the past. It can recreate entire sensory experiences by providing an emotional link between past events initially experienced through separate senses. And it can make memory seem real and tangible. The sense of smell, olfactory stimuli are more potent causes of autobiographical memories than other sensory things. A clue to the olfactory memory relation is the anatomical overlap between the structures involved in memory and smell. What does that mean? Because the nerves for smell go right over the nerves for memory. That's why there's a connection between a loss of smell and a loss of memory. And why is all this important? You know, if you are an adult, our ancestors, they made it to adulthood and they smell tiger, and all of a sudden they're on alert because the hint of a smell of something danger, it would bring them right back and they'd know right away. Proust phenomenon is, it was a life-saving mechanism back in the days of our ancient ancestors. So you've got that article to look at. The next one here is on the reliability of this test. And the test that you've just done is called the capital B-SIT. That's the BSIT. You took the BSIT test. It's a 12-item BSIT test. And it has a 96% correlation with the most sophisticated smell tests that they use in ear, nose, and throat wards at hospitals. And those tests cost thousands and tens of thousands of dollars, you know, the equipment to do this. So just this little scratch sniff test is 96% accurate compared to the most expensive equipment. So you've got these so that you can take these to your doctor also if you want to. And then the third one is about the loss of smell. And when you have a loss of smell, more than 1 in 5 participants who had an impairment in their smell, these are older people over the age of 60, died within 5 years compared to less than 10% of participants without a loss of sense of smell. So moderate olfactory loss, here we go, it means less than 3 or equal, so 3 or more of these that are wrong, was associated with a 68% increased risk of all-cause mortality. So this is a simple but important test to do. So now we've got to bring back to, okay, I've scored, I've got a loss of the sense of smell, what do I do? The first thing you do is you print these articles out and take them with you when you go to your doctor and say, look, you know, I've just done this test, the temperature gauge in my brain is saying, I got a problem here. So what do we do about this? And if your doctor doesn't really know anything about it, or he gives you some hullabaloo answer, don't worry about it, it's normal, everyone's got that. Well, you know, you may not want to listen to that advice. And you might want to look for another person to bring onto your healthcare team. You also can use our team, our consultants at DrTom, but I'll just tell you what the next step is for us. When people have the smell test say they've got a lack of the sense of smell, I want to know, where's the deterioration coming from? Why is those nerves deteriorating? What is it? And so how do you tell that? Well, you got to go back upstream. Remember my waterfall example? You got to go back upstream and figure out what it is. Well, how do I do that? Well, the first thing you do is the neural zoomer test. The neural zoomer, it's a blood test. The neural zoomer looks at 18 different markers of inflammation in your brain to see if you've got elevated antibodies to herpes, the common virus that gives you cold sores, or do you have elevated antibodies to bacteria or to your own brain tissue? So you want to see, and this is a marker of inflammation in the brain, the neural zoomer. So you see, okay, there it is. I've got inflammation in my brain. Then you work with your doctor to see where is the inflammation coming from. Is it food sensitivities? Remember, the most common trigger for inflammation in the body is what's on the end of your fork. That's the most common. And there's a new panel of tests that you can do, including the neural zoomer, and it's 6 different Zoomers. There's the wheat Zoomer, the neural Zoomer, the corn Zoomer, the lectin Zoomer, the peanut Zoomer, and the dairy Zoomer. And so you do those 6 Zoomer tests, and then you've got the whole picture here. Okay, I'm sensitive to wheat, I'm sensitive to lectins, I'm sensitive to dairy. You get those things out of your diet, and then you wait 3 months, 3 to 6 months, and then you recheck again. You do the scent test, the smell test. You do that again. Why? Because you regenerate. Every cell in your body regenerates, every cell. So you just want to see, am I calming down the inflammation? And my nerve cells are regenerating or not? So the blood test, it's every 6 months because antibodies have a life of 2 to 5 months. And so you don't want to redo the test too soon. So you check again in 6 months to make sure that what you're doing is working. And it's all explained in the book, You Can Fix Your Brain. So you've got the book, and so you want to read through some of those things again of what do you have to look for to see where's the inflammation coming from. So I'm going to put some of the articles here for you to read, the 3 that I've just shown you there. We'll put the link here also for the neural Zoomer test and also for the 6 Zoomers. And you can download the information from our site to take to your doctor and say, please order these tests, or you can order the tests with us. I prefer you order them from your doctor so that he can learn more, he or she can learn more about this also, so they can help more people by doing this. But we're here to help you any way we can. Okay, one more thing. We have the Brain Masterclass, which you should see now. There should be some link on our site there for you on that one. And in the Brain Masterclass, it's a week by week by week education on where does the inflammation come from in your brain? What are all the nutrients that help rebuild brain tissue? How do you check to see if you need those nutrients? And we go through all of that in the Brain Masterclass. So I'd suggest you consider doing the Brain Masterclass because you'll be able to talk to your doctor now with more knowledge so that you're just not at the mercy of whatever he or she might know. That hopefully your doctor knows about this, but you'll know more questions asked because you've been viewing the Brain Masterclass every week. Okay, hope that helps. Talk to you soon.